Jubilee 2025. Meaning: every 25 years, the heart of the Catholic world beats to a different rhythm. It's a tradition stretching back centuries, a sacred time when the very stones of Rome seem to hum with a renewed spiritual energy. This is the Jubilee, or Holy Year, and the one on our horizon, Jubilee 2025, is poised to be one of the most transformative in modern history. But what does that even mean? What is a Jubilee? To understand the future, we have to look to the past, deep into the biblical foundations of the faith. The concept originates in the Old Testament, specifically in the book of Leviticus. The ancient Israelites were commanded to mark every 50th year as a sacred period of liberation and restoration. It was a time when slaves were to be freed, lands were to return to their original owners, and debts were to be forgiven. It was a societal reset button, a radical reminder that the earth belongs to God and that humanity's squabbles over property and power were temporary. It was a year of grace, designed to restore social justice and offer everyone a fresh start. This powerful idea was revived in the year 1300 by Pope Boniface VIII. He declared the first Christian Jubilee, calling pilgrims to Rome to pray at the tombs of the apostles Peter and Paul. The response was overwhelming. Hundreds of thousands of people from across Europe undertook the perilous journey, seeking spiritual renewal and a special grace from God known as a Jubilee indulgence. Initially, the plan was to hold a Jubilee every 100 years, but the spiritual hunger was so great that the interval was shortened to 50 years, then to 33, symbolizing the length of Jesus' life, and finally, in 1475, it was set at the 25-year interval we know today, ensuring that each generation would have the opportunity to experience at least one holy year in their lifetime. At the core of every Jubilee is a profound and beautiful piece of symbolism, the opening of the Holy Door. In Rome, the four major basilicas, St. Peter's, St. John Lateran, St. Mary Major, and St. Paul outside the walls, each have a specific door that is normally sealed shut with brick and mortar. At the beginning of a Jubilee, in a solemn and ancient ceremony, the Pope strikes the wall with a hammer and the holy door of St. Peter's is opened. This act isn't just pageantry, it's a powerful metaphor. Christ said, "I am the door," and passing through a holy door symbolizes leaving the world behind and entering into the presence of God. It's a physical act that represents an inner journey of conversion, a conscious choice to pass from sin to grace. For millions of pilgrims, walking through that threshold is the spiritual climax of their journey, a moment of profound personal renewal. And this brings us to the central spiritual benefit of a Jubilee, the plenary indulgence. Now, the word indulgence has a complicated history, but its theological meaning is precise and often misunderstood. It is not a permission slip to sin, nor is it a way to buy your way into heaven. In Catholic teaching, when a person sins and receives forgiveness through confession, the eternal punishment, separation from God, is wiped away. However, a temporal punishment may remain. Think of it like this: if you break a window, you can be forgiven, but you still have to repair the damage. The indulgence is the Church's way of helping to repair that spiritual damage, drawing on the immense treasury of grace established by Christ and the saints. A plenary indulgence, the kind offered during a Jubilee, is a complete remission of all this temporal punishment. To receive it, a pilgrim must fulfill certain conditions: go to confession, receive Holy Communion, pray for the Pope's intentions, and perform a specific act like walking through a holy door. It is, in essence, a total spiritual reboot, an opportunity to be wiped clean and start anew, which is precisely the spirit of the ancient biblical Jubilee. For 2025, Pope Francis has given the Holy Year a deeply resonant theme: Peregrinantes in Spem, or Pilgrims of Hope. This theme wasn't chosen lightly. It's a direct response to the global anxieties of our time. We are emerging from a pandemic that isolated us, we witness conflicts that divide us, and we face a climate crisis that threatens our common home. In this context, hope is not a naive optimism, it is a defiant act of faith. It's the belief that, despite the darkness, God's grace is at work in the world. Being a pilgrim of hope means actively journeying towards a better future, not as isolated individuals, but as a collective human family. It's a call to rebuild bonds of fraternity, to care for creation, and to be beacons of light in a world that desperately needs it. This Jubilee isn't just about personal salvation, it's about communal transformation, a challenge to every believer to become an agent of hope in their own community. The stage is set not just for a year of prayer, but for a year of action, guided by a hope that is both a gift to be received and a mission to be shared. Pilgrimage evolution. For centuries, the word pilgrimage conjured a very specific image, a long, arduous, and often dangerous journey on foot. Think of medieval pilgrims walking the Camino de Santiago in Spain or the Via Francigena to Rome, their feet dusty, their possessions few, their hearts set on a holy destination. The journey itself was a form of prayer, a penance. Every step was a testament to faith, a stripping away of the non-essential, pushing the body to its limits to elevate the soul. The destination, a sacred shrine, a holy city, was the goal, but the transformation happened along the way. This traditional model, centered on physical endurance and the singular goal of reaching Rome, has been the bedrock of the Jubilee experience for over 700 years. It was a model that, by its very nature, was exclusive. It was for the able-bodied, for those with the time and resources to leave their lives behind for weeks or months. But Jubilee 2025 is poised to radically redefine what it means to be a pilgrim in the 21st century. The fundamental spirit remains, but the methods are undergoing a revolution driven by a commitment to accessibility and the power of modern technology. The single biggest game changer is the full-scale integration of digital resources. This isn't just about having a website with information. We're talking about a complete digital ecosystem designed to support, guide, and even host the pilgrimage experience. The Vatican has launched an official Jubilee 2025 app, which will serve as an all-in-one digital hub. Through this app, pilgrims can register for their journey, receive a digital pilgrim's card, and book entry times for events and for passing through the holy doors. This is a massive logistical leap, designed to manage the expected crowds of over 30 million people and eliminate the hours-long queues that have defined past Jubilees. But it goes much deeper. The app will offer multilingual spiritual guides, daily reflections, and interactive maps of historic pilgrimage routes. It will essentially place a knowledgeable and spiritually attuned guide in the pocket of every single visitor. Furthermore, for the millions who cannot physically travel to Rome due to health, finances, or other commitments, Jubilee 2025 is pioneering the concept of the virtual pilgrimage. We're expecting high-definition, 360-degree virtual tours of the major basilicas and other holy sites. Imagine being able to virtually stand in the Sistine Chapel, looking up at Michelangelo's masterpiece, or to walk through the Holy Door of St. Peter's from your own living room. Major papal ceremonies and masses will be live-streamed in unprecedented quality, often with virtual reality options, creating a sense of presence and participation that was previously impossible. This raises a fascinating theological question. Can a virtual pilgrimage be as spiritually efficacious as a physical one? The Church's answer seems to be a resounding yes. The focus is on the interior disposition of the heart, on the intention and the prayer. By leveraging technology, the Vatican is democratizing the Jubilee, extending its graces far beyond the geographic confines of Rome, and making it the most global holy year in history. This commitment to inclusion extends powerfully into the physical realm as well. The organizers of Jubilee 2025 have placed a massive emphasis on making the pilgrimage accessible to people with disabilities. This is a paradigm shift. Traditionally, the ancient cobblestone streets and historic buildings of Rome have been a nightmare for those with mobility challenges. For this Jubilee, specific accessible routes are being designed and promoted. These routes will avoid stairs, navigate around architectural barriers, and connect the major basilicas via pathways that can be used by people in wheelchairs or with other mobility aids. Special services will be available, from reserved seating at events to volunteer guides trained to assist pilgrims with special needs. The goal is to ensure that the physical journey is not a barrier to the spiritual one. The message is clear: everyone is welcome, and the Church is willing to make concrete, structural changes to prove it. This spirit of welcome is also reshaping the pilgrimage experience for other groups. There's a strong focus on youth, with dedicated events, hostels, and spiritual programs designed to resonate with a younger generation, likely building on the energy of World Youth Day. For families, there will be pilgrimage routes that are shorter, more engaging for children, and incorporate moments of rest and play alongside prayer. The old one-size-fits-all model of pilgrimage is being replaced by a more diverse, à la carte approach. Moreover, the very definition of a Jubilee pilgrimage is expanding. While Rome remains the heart of the Holy Year, a huge emphasis is being placed on celebrating the Jubilee locally. Dioceses around the world are being encouraged to designate their own Jubilee churches with their own holy doors. This allows the faithful to make a meaningful pilgrimage and receive the Jubilee indulgence without ever leaving their home country. It transforms the Jubilee from a single event in a single city into a decentralized, global celebration of faith, a network of hope that encircles the entire planet. This commitment to inclusion extends powerfully into the physical realm as well. The organizers of Jubilee 2025 have placed a massive emphasis on making the pilgrimage accessible to people with disabilities. This is a paradigm shift. Traditionally, the ancient cobblestone streets and historic buildings of Rome have been a nightmare for those with mobility challenges. For this Jubilee, specific, accessible routes are being designed and promoted. These routes will avoid stairs, navigate around architectural barriers, and connect the major basilicas via pathways that can be used by people in wheelchairs or with other mobility aids. Special services will be available, from reserved seating at events to volunteer guides trained to assist pilgrims with special needs. The goal is to ensure that the physical journey is not a barrier to the spiritual one. The message is clear: everyone is welcome, and the Church is willing to make concrete, structural changes to prove it. This spirit of welcome is also reshaping the pilgrimage experience for other groups. There's a strong focus on youth, with dedicated events, hostels, and spiritual programs designed to resonate with a younger generation, likely building on the energy of World Youth Day. For families, there will be pilgrimage routes that are shorter, more engaging for children, and incorporate moments of rest and play alongside prayer. The old one-size-fits-all model of pilgrimage is being replaced by a more diverse, à la carte approach. Moreover, the very definition of a Jubilee pilgrimage is expanding. While Rome remains the heart of the Holy Year, a huge emphasis is being placed on celebrating the Jubilee locally. Dioceses around the world are being encouraged to designate their own Jubilee churches with their own holy doors. This allows the faithful to make a meaningful pilgrimage and receive the Jubilee indulgence without ever leaving their home country. It transforms the Jubilee from a single event in a single city into a decentralized, global celebration of faith, a network of hope that encircles the entire planet. Block 3. Inclusion and tradition shift. As we delve deeper into the architecture of Jubilee 2025, a powerful, guiding principle comes into sharp focus: inclusion. This is perhaps the most defining characteristic of this holy year, a direct reflection of Pope Francis's pontificate. It's a conscious effort to ensure that the message of hope and the offer of grace reach the margins of society, to those who have often felt overlooked or unwelcome. This Jubilee is not just for the devout who fill the pews every Sunday. It is an explicit invitation to the poor, the prisoner, the migrant, the refugee, and those who feel alienated from the Church. This isn't just rhetoric. It's being built into the very fabric of the year's events. We can expect the Vatican to announce specific Jubilee days dedicated to these groups. Imagine a day where the central focus is on prisoners, with the Pope perhaps visiting a prison to open a holy door there, a profound symbol of Christ's power to bring liberation even to those who are physically incarcerated. There will be initiatives focused on the homeless, providing not just spiritual comfort, but also material aid like food, shelter, and medical care, embodying the Jubilee's call to tangible acts of mercy. The theme, Pilgrims of Hope, takes on a particularly poignant meaning for migrants and refugees, who are, in a very real sense, pilgrims on a desperate search for safety and a better life. The Jubilee will highlight their plight, calling on Catholics and all people of goodwill to offer welcome and support. This focus on the marginalized is a direct challenge to any complacency within the Church. It's a reminder that faith must be accompanied by action, that a pilgrimage of hope must involve walking alongside those who are suffering. It is an attempt to make the Church what Pope Francis has called a field hospital, a place of healing for a wounded world. This outward-looking, socially conscious approach extends to interfaith relations as well. While the Jubilee is a Catholic event, its theme of hope is universal. The Vatican is actively fostering dialogue with leaders of other Christian denominations and other world religions, inviting them to participate in certain events and to share in the common project of building a more just and peaceful world. The goal is to make Rome during the Jubilee a global laboratory of fraternity, a place where people of different faiths can come together not to debate doctrine, but to affirm their shared humanity. This radical emphasis on inclusion is also driving a fascinating reinterpretation of ancient Jubilee traditions. The traditions themselves are not being discarded. They are being supercharged with contemporary meaning. Take the biblical call for the forgiveness of debts. In ancient times, this was a literal economic reset. Today, Pope Francis is using this tradition to amplify his call for global economic justice. He is using the moral platform of the Jubilee to advocate for the cancellation or significant reduction of the international debt that cripples developing nations, arguing that you cannot speak of hope to a country that is shackled by unsustainable financial burdens. The ancient tradition becomes a modern manifesto for a more equitable global economy. Similarly, the biblical concept of rest for the land is being powerfully connected to the ecological crisis. This Jubilee is being framed as a green Jubilee, with a strong emphasis on environmental sustainability. Pilgrims will be encouraged to travel responsibly, to minimize their carbon footprint, and to participate in ecological initiatives. The Vatican itself is implementing measures to make Jubilee events as sustainable as possible. This directly links the ancient idea of letting the earth lie fallow to recover with the modern scientific understanding of the need to protect our common home, as outlined in Pope Francis's encyclical. The tradition of pilgrimage is being reimagined as an opportunity for ecological conversion, a chance to reflect on our relationship with creation and commit to living more sustainably. In this way, the Jubilee becomes a powerful vehicle for the Church's social and ecological teaching, transforming ancient rituals into urgent calls for contemporary action. So, what will be the lasting legacy of Jubilee 2025? It aims to be far more than just a memory of a spiritually uplifting year for millions of pilgrims. It is being designed as a catalyst for lasting change within the Catholic Church and beyond. By seamlessly blending ancient tradition with modern technology, it sets a new standard for how the Church can engage with the world in the digital age. By placing radical inclusion and social justice at its very core, it challenges the Church to live up to its most fundamental gospel values in a more authentic and visible way. This Jubilee is a bold statement about the future of faith. A faith that is accessible, compassionate, engaged with the world's problems, and a source of defiant hope for all of humanity. It is an invitation not just to come to Rome, but to become a pilgrim of hope in your own life, transforming the world one act of love, mercy, and justice at a time. The doors will open in 2025, but the journey of transformation has already begun.